Hello, Madeley students. It's Mr. Merrick here from the slightly older one, looking at the assessed piece for Inspector Calls with you. Now, I've been asked to do this video with you to help you with your assessment that you should be doing at home during these very difficult times. And you'll be looking at responsibility in Inspector Calls. And it's a very appropriate assessment for you to look at as we think about our responsibilities in society. And we see so many people banding together to look after one another during these tough times in the community. So I want you to think about what the word responsibility means to you. And you might decide actually to define that word before you start this assess piece by using Google, using your own knowledge before you then look at the assessment as a whole. So have a think about what that word means to you, and then have a think about these questions as well, okay? Do you have just responsibilities to your family and friends, or do you help people outside of that circle in some other ways? And do you find that sometimes your responsibilities and your loyalties to your family, to your friends, actually makes it difficult to help people and be more of a responsible member of society as well? Okay, so those are two questions to think about because they are important questions for this play. Now, I do need to say that I haven't looked at this PowerPoint before provided by Mr. Sharrett, but I'll talk you through how I would approach this assessment through it. So, some questions for you to consider. These are more looking at the play, from what I remember. So, why do people in society need to take responsibility for each other? Think about why we need to do that. Okay, this will help you again understand why this play's been written. What are the consequences of only thinking of ourselves and our own family? So, what would happen if we only do that? Okay, why? When this play was written in 1946, would the audience have been open to the idea of more responsibility? Okay. How do Mr. and Mrs. Burling see their responsibility, and why don't they really learn anything? Okay, so think about why those older characters don't see their responsibilities as being ingrained in society as much as, say, some of the younger characters, and why don't they learn? Why do the younger characters, by contrast, learn a lesson? Okay, and why are they more socially responsible at the end? What role does the inspector play in teaching the idea of responsibility? And how do those beliefs of responsibility kind of emulate, kind of copy or link to J.B. Priestley? So those questions there, feel free to pause because I'm going to be moving on very quickly throughout this video. Feel free to just consider those, answer those in maybe one or two sentences to help you before we look at this assessment. So, we're going to look at different characters now. Okay, and I'll just talk you through each of them for about half a minute before I move on. So again, feel free to pause this video to get these notes down if you would rather copy these down or jot these down before you do your assess piece. So Mr. Burling, in my mind, doesn't take much social responsibility at all. Okay, he's more responsible. His responsibility lies with himself and with his family. Okay, he's an individualist. Okay, so he's always doing things for himself, and that's why he's happy to sack Eva Smith, and that's why he's happy that at the end of the play he feels like he's got away with things. Okay, he doesn't have to learn anything at all. So that's my would be my paragraph on Mr. Burling, something along those lines. Mrs. Burling is very similar. Okay, in fact, she's something quite nice to say about Mrs. Burling is actually she pretends to help in society by being part of a charitable group, but actually is only doing that for her own good. So she's actually using this idea of social responsibility to make herself look good. Okay, to be irresponsible in many ways and just provide herself a better public image, okay, which makes her quite a dislikable character indeed. Okay, again, feel free to pause because I'll be moving on very quickly now. Sheila, by contrast, does take responsibility. She does admit that she did wrong and does seem to learn by the end of the play. So she, in some ways, is a symbol of hope in the play that people become more socially responsible and look after one another. Okay, again, feel free to have a read in the notes, answer the extension question at the bottom to try and help you with this assess piece too. Eric too is similar to Sheila, okay, in that he notices a need to change and he admits to his wrongs as well. Okay, he seems to learn to be more socially responsible as well. Okay. He even goes as far to break the law to try and take responsibility for his actions. He steals from his father to take responsibility for his unborn child and the mother of it. Okay, so there's another character for you to look at. Again, feel free to pause. Alright. And Ghoul, he's the person who essentially preaches for the idea of social responsibility, okay, through his most important speech in the play. We are members of one body, is a quote I remember. Okay, and he actually gets characters to be more responsible, Sheila and Eric, by the end of the play. So there's a little bit of a crash course of the kind of paragraphs you could do. I could do a paragraph on each if I wanted to make quite a nice essay on this. So I'll put some links in the description for you that you can provide to do some extra revision of this before you ever go at this question here. And there it is there. We do not live alone. We are members of one body, responsible for another. And feel free to use that quote in your response. Exploring presentation, responsibility, and the spectacles. So you might decide to do a bit of a plan. You might have done some notes already that could formulate part of your plan. Alright. You might decide to do a chart similar to this. Alright. Which will help you with this piece indeed. Again, feel free to pause if you would prefer to do something like that. Don't forget to mention context in your response. Okay. And the question, once again, is there on the screen for you to have a go at. Okay. Remember to check the links in the description. Okay, I'll put a full text in the description for you as well to help you with this. But very best of luck. Please do be producing something, because obviously when you get back you'll be in year 11 and we'll want to make sure we get straight on to exam prep so you can get the best grades you possibly can. Thank you very much.